your life. You got this. Go chase it, live your life. Enlighten you. Let the light shine through. Light. Enlighten you. Just see it through.
I'm Melissa Thrasher.
And I'm Lolita Cummings.
Welcome to Enlighten U, Eastern Michigan University's mental health podcast for students. The topic of today's show is one that will affect us all at one point or another. We won't look forward to it, and we may not see it coming. It's on grief and loss.
You know, Melissa, the holiday season is normally a time that's joyous for most of us, but for others, it's a time of dread, loneliness, and sadness. So today, we're exploring all kinds of loss and the impact it has on our lives. Most of us have been there with relationships, with friendships, with pets, and with family.
Our student guest today is here to share her personal story of unthinkable loss. Kyra Buffen, an EMU student athlete, was just a freshman in high school when she lost her mother to breast cancer. We also have Dr. Aesha Mustafa, a resident mental health expert, a licensed clinical therapist, and an assistant professor in EMU's Department of Leadership and Counseling. Kyra and Aesha, welcome to Enlighten U.
Kyra and Aesha, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us at Enlighten You. Today's show is going to be a little bit heavier. Kyra, you lost your mom to breast cancer when you were in high school,
yes.
Right?
Freshman in high school.
A freshman in high school.
Yes.
Do you mind telling us about, what that time was like for you?
I've actually been noticing this like a bit more recently, like as I've been like growing up and like learning things and growing in different ways like on my own. But I didn't realize how much of an impact. I knew obviously, it was an impact then, but like me being so young and like I'm the only girl, the youngest with two older brothers. So it just all happened so fast. But like the doctors were saying like she could have had it, like dormanted and like didn't know for like years plus. The process was like fast from the time like she told us to like when she was in hospice. I obviously knew like the impact then, but I didn't know how much it would affect now. And I feel like now that I'm realizing it more, like I'm kind of like, I wouldn't say like grieving over or like accepting it, but like more so like being okay with like my feelings about it.
So what was that time like for you? Like, what was your relationship with your mom like?
I've always been a daddy's girl because like I'm the only girl, but like I was close with my mom, like my mom was, because like I'm the only girl, the one who I kind of felt like some things, like I can't talk with my brothers or like my dad about. I just don't think I realized like the impact then being so young. I was like a freshman in high school, like first semester. And then like me and my brother left school early. Like one of our coaches like came and like got us out of class and like that's when like our mom told us like, she was sick and like school maybe had like a couple weeks till it ended. I'm from Georgia, like, so school ends kind of early down there. So it ended like towards the end of May. And like they took us out maybe like a week after my birthday. And so my birthday's May 5th. So like maybe like the middle of May. Then like I'm playing sports and like I have friends at school and like all that, so it's like I'm just not at school, but like talking to my friends like over the phone. But again, like I don't think I realized like how much like.
Do you think you were in shock for some of that time, or you just had no idea what a long-term impact it was on your life?
Yeah, like I think it was more of a like, now what do we do from here? We can't like just sit and sulk. We have to do something with ourselves now, like even more, you know what I mean?
So Kyra, first of all, I know this is not an easy subject to talk about, so I appreciate, we all appreciate you being here. But I'd like for you to take us back to the time where you found out, where your mom shared the diagnosis with you. I believe it was 2 years between the diagnosis and her death. Mm-hmm. So can you talk about the feelings that you had when she shared, that information with you?
Of course, like I was sad, but like then again, I was young. Like I had just turned 15. I guess I didn't realize like how bad it really was until it like kept going on, like until it got further along. Because when she told us like the doctor told her, again, she could have had it like dormant. She had stage 3 then. I didn't think it was going to happen how it did, like so quick, not being able to like do the things that she was doing anymore, you know. But me being young, like I'm seeing this, but like I'm not actually like realizing. And like my godmoms and like my aunt like came down and like they're like, you know, like hug your mom, like tell your mom that you love her, you know, like, and of course I'm doing it because like I do, of course, but like I didn't realize how much like I wish I could do that now, you know what I mean? Or like, you know, like I wish I would have like put a little bit more like emphasis on it, you know,
Absolutely.
like, but like just not knowing.
But like you said, you
know,
were young,
yeah.
right? And this was a new experience for you.
Yeah.
There was no manual on
Yeah.
how to do it, and there was no crystal ball that would show you in the future how you wish you had done something differently or with more enthusiasm. So I want to ask you a couple of things based on what you just said. You were the only female in the house. Did your role change at all? You said you had godmothers and others coming to the house, but did your role change after your mom passed?
It changed, but not too much of an impact. Like I feel like my dad kind of like he did a really good job of like just like being there for all of us, handling things like the best way he could, you know, like because like again he was a guy with like a daughter, so like I'm still kind of like hitting puberty and like things of that sort, so it's just kind of like
Yeah,
a little
no, I
bit.
get that. And you said
But-
you run, and you're on Eastern's track team, and
Yes.
you're pretty good at that.
Yes.
So what titles do we have?
I'm the Mid-American triple jump 2024 champion, indoor and outdoor.
Good for you. And if you're a superstar here, you were a superstar in high school in track, I would assume.
Yeah, I was okay.
Right, Taylor?
I did track and basketball in high school.
Okay,
and so
right.
that was kind of like my
Yeah, and
my
were
thing
those
back then.
outlets for you when you were going
Track
through?
is definitely like one of those, like even still to this day, like right now I'm in my 5th year in college because my freshman year I transferred to Eastern my junior year. So I was at Benedict College in South Carolina, a HBCU, freshman and sophomore year, and I ran track there. But my freshman year was kind of like COVID still after the pandemic, because my senior year was like the pandemic, like when it happened, like all that. So like even sports, my senior year of high school was kind of like cut off, like school and all that. So like it was kind of like a setback. And then freshman year, we didn't really have a conference or anything because of COVID still. So I got that year back. So that's this year, like my 5th year of eligibility.
Oh, that's
So,
why you have 5th. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're in grad school. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So I imagine that running is sort of like your therapy.
Yes.
Yeah, and you're probably running thinking about your mom in honor of your mom when you're doing competitions, but you had touched on the grieving process, how it started. Where are you at today in terms of grieving? Can you talk about the process a little bit?
I honestly, I'm not sure. Like,
That's a
that's
good
just
answer.
an honest, like,
Yeah.
because I'm still kind of, some days are better than others as I'm growing up. Like, I'm 22 now. I turned 23 in May. Like, and again, like, I lost her when I was 15, like, right after my birthday. She passed away May 29th. And my middle brother's birthday is actually May 27th. So it was, like, kind of, like, hard for us both. Like, you know, like, that month still kind of, like, you know, and then, like, October just passed. And so, like, I do a lot of things in October, like breast cancer walks and, like,
I noticed your tattoo,
I was
too.
about
I
to
loved
say,
it.
I have a memorial of like her face and like everything, like that was my first tattoo, and I said it was gonna be like to her, and so like my whole arm is like to her. But I'm just taking it day by day. Like I go to therapy. I feel like that honestly helps like a lot, not even just with that, but like with ways on like how to cope like outside of track. Track's not going to be here forever, you know, but like, you know, that doesn't mean that like I won't feel like this for a long time, you know. And sometimes like it helps me to like help other people like going through the same thing, or like fresher with the same thing, you know, because next May, it's going on year 8 since my mom's passed. And like, it doesn't feel like it's been 8 years, you know, like I still watch videos with like her voice, like just listening to her voice and like, you know, but it also, a good part of my grieving process, I could say, is like, you know, like track, like you said, like I kind of like do things in honor of her. Like I write on my shoes for like competitions, and like I write on my wrists with like tape for competitions, things like that, of that sort.
I like
I
that.
love how you are still honoring your mom every day. Yeah. Aisha,
yeah.
if we can ask you a couple questions. You know, we've heard Kyra and her grieving process, that it comes in waves and every day is different. And some things that you do to honor your mom make you feel really good. And I'm sure there are other days that aren't so good. Is that pretty typical of how we grieve?
Yeah, there's different stages of grief, and there can be like the disbelief of someone actually passed, the bargaining of, well, what if I had made sure they went to the doctor, made sure I hugged them, maybe why didn't I call them back last night? There's always this, I could have done a little more. And then also as we grow older, after we pass someone, they're like the disbelief and shock that they weren't at this event. And so I don't know if you've experienced well, they didn't see me win this award, the graduation, these landmarks. I think the fact that you honor her and all your work is how you keep them close and talking about them with your friends and family. Because one of my clients had stated to me, the price we paid for love is grief. Mm-hmm. And it's something we never want to experience, but we have all this love and these memories, and they don't stop. We see them in our daily lives of, oh, that's mom there, that's our friend. Like they're the one that said, you know, stand up tall, keep going.
Yeah.
Well, Kyra, I'm jumping around a little bit because you had mentioned that you transferred from an HBCU to EMU, and I know you've made a lot of friends along the way, right?
Yes.
So can you talk about how your friends have supported you and things that you wish they didn't say, or things that you needed from them that you didn't receive? I think that would be helpful for our viewers.
Honestly, my friends, like they are super like supportive in ways that they feel will help. Sometimes I just need space. Like sometimes I don't want, you know, like you to talk, or like sometimes the hug might make me cry a little harder, you know. I appreciate like my friends when they take the time out to ask, or like, you know, like, oh, well, do you want to talk about it? Or like, you know, do you need a hug, or do you want some space? Like, do you want to talk about it later? Like, give me the option to when I want to, you know, like express it. Again, like my friends play a big part in like my grieving, because I don't know what I would do without my friends. And some days I have to realize too, I may disagree with things like that. Say, you know, like we're just having like a normal conversation and like they're talking about like their parents or like their mom, you know, like, and sometimes I just have to realize like, okay, Kyra, they don't understand like my experience, so like I can't give like my emotions on, you know, like their experiences, you know.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because sometimes I struggle. You know, I have both of my parents are still living, but if I'm communicating with someone that recently lost a parent and I'm reflecting on something that, you know, my dad said or my mom said, I sometimes catch myself wondering if I should continue with that story. And so are you saying, or do you suggest that friends should be more mindful in sharing stories, or should we just continue as normal?
Definitely be more mindful. And if you're not sure, then ask. Ask your friend, like, you know, if they would mind, or, you know, like, do you mind if I dig deeper into this topic? Or, you know, like, would you feel some kind of way, or like, how would that make you feel? And then, you know, go from there. Everyone's different. So some people, like, they just want you to, yeah, girl, you're fine. Like, I'm going to deal with it when I'm going to deal with it, you know? And some people, like, they're not so, like, you know, so, yeah.
Just be more mindful.
That's a good question. And I'm so glad that you are surrounded by this community of people who love you. But, you know, Melissa's absolutely right. Sometimes we don't know what to say or what to do. And I like your suggestion that we ask. But are there certain things that we should never say or never do, or should always say or always do? Because a lot of times we just don't know. And sometimes that leads us to do nothing, which I don't think it's the right thing either.
Yeah, I love the just ask. I mean, I think being careful of saying, well, I understand because of X. And sometimes it is maybe that helps you connect to the person. And other times it's like, we're not even talking about the same scale of issues. And I'm a big fan of asking the person like, hey, can I check in with you? Because on one hand, it's like someone may not want you to check in on Mother's Day for 30 years. And other times people are like, no one says anything. And it just feels like this kid gloves of like, hey, how are you? Just like, or no one mentions they're going to go see their parent because they're afraid they're going to hurt the other person's feelings. And sometimes people are like, well, I don't want to bring up I talked to someone because that's going to make them hurt their feelings. And rather to have a conversation of, hey, do you want me to check in with you on this? How are you doing? And like that sort of thing is really important. And also not feeling like you have to fix the problem. So, you know, if special dates come up in that person's life, not thinking you have to make them forget about it's Mother's Day, and rather like, hey, do you want to do something? Do you not? I'm just checking in. That sort of thing I think is great.
I think this is so helpful. I mean, because I don't know about other people, but I'm the person like, I don't know what to do. You know, I don't know how to let them know that I care, but I also don't want to make them feel worse. And so I think this is really good guidance for all of us.
Good guidance. Yeah. Yeah. Especially around this time too, because now we're approaching the holiday
holidays,
season.
right?
You know, and so Kyra, this question is for you. And you also mentioned Mother's Day. How do you handle holidays and, you know, different occurrences throughout the year?
Sometimes like they're easier than others, but again, like my friends are like really supportive when it comes to like things of like that nature. They'll go on the breast cancer walks with me. They get me gifts like in honor of it, always ask like or check on me, you know, like when I'm down or like whenever it's like special dates. And like they are big on like asking like, okay, well, like, do you want to do something, or like, do you just want your space? Just giving me the option, which I feel like is very like thoughtful. Yeah.
Now, do you go back home to Georgia to your family for the holidays?
I do.
Do you? And so what's that like with your family? I mean, are you able to have joyous holidays, or do you guys somehow, you know, remember your mom, or what's that like for you guys?
We definitely have joyous holidays, and we definitely like honor her, and like I feel like it brings us closer together now that everyone is so like grown and like older. And like again, like I was the only girl, and my oldest brother, my mom passed in 2017. My oldest brother had a daughter in 2019. So like my niece is like that's my girl. Like that's our girl. Like she's the family's princess. Like everyone is like, you know, so after I feel like that also brought us closer together, you know, like it just gave us a little feeling of like our mom.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. Something that that I resonate with, that I just love this story, and it's personal. My sister's significant other, he had lost his mom years ago, and to keep her memory alive during the holidays, and I believe on Mother's Day, they usually go out to dinner to celebrate her still, and I think that's a beautiful memory. And what I'd like to ask Aesha is, when people are dealing with loss, what are some ways that they can, you know, keep their significant other, their family member? How do they keep the memory alive of their loved one?
I think to keep talking about them, you know, with your niece, of like, this is what grandma would have thought of you. Like, this reminds me, like, let's go to this restaurant she loved, and just keeping them alive because they're still in your heart. And it's tough to hold the loss of they're not there, but also the fun memories of, oh, she would have laughed if she saw this. And those are things I think are just super helpful to connect to that and build this legacy. This person may not be here, but they're still in our spirits.
So you have these obviously these good days, but then you have to have not so good days, right?
Yes.
And I was reading about grief exhaustion. What does that feel like? And then let me know if some of that resonates with you, and then what can we do about it?
So with grief, I mean, it's ongoing, of not just the loss of the person, but like there's they didn't get to see this moment, and there's this reminder for time keeps going on with that. I think some people struggle with what's the appropriate amount of time to grieve, and some people can be like, well, is this amount of time you have to move on with your life, which I don't know what that means. I think there's a period of time of like, okay, it's been a year and someone is not functioning, so maybe struggling at work where there's conversations with their boss, missing class, dropping out of several classes, not taking care of hygiene, feeding themselves, and that's like when it's extended where people are concerned and getting help for that, talking to loved ones, friends, family, as well as seeking out therapeutic services and just giving yourself grace. Like, it's hard to grieve the loss of somebody because it's also like what we could have done, what we didn't do, of why was I annoyed with this person this one time 5 years ago, and like it's not beating yourself up that it's okay to have I wish I would have done moments, but like that's not the memory that person had of you or that relationship.
That's
Yeah,
key.
yeah, that's really good. I lost my dad 14 years ago, and when you say things like "wish I had," my dad was he had 3 girls, and so we all fished. I mean, that was our thing we did with our dad. And so once he was gone, I wish I had gone fishing with him more as an adult. I did some, but I wish I hadn't. And it, like you said, the grief comes in waves sometimes. What do you do when it comes at you? Because for me, sometimes it just hits me out of nowhere. What do you do?
Sometimes I liked when she said, like, give yourself grace, because I try to be, like, so strong, and, like, when people are like, oh, it's been whatever, like, move on, like, or kind of going back to what you were saying when you were saying how, like, people say how they can understand, but it's on a different level. Like, it's not the same. Like, you can be empathetic. Like, you can, like, help me, but, like, understand, no, because, like, you haven't went through it, which, like, I don't want you to, but, like, just on a different level, like, understanding these feelings that, like, you can't understand. And I'm working on this now, like, growing with this, just giving myself grace. Some days it's okay to not be okay. That's it. Like, you don't have to be okay all the time. Like, everyone's not okay all the time, whether like they say it or not. Like, no one's
so
perfect.
Glad that you said that. And I heard people, I hope people really hear that when you say that, because you're right. So many times we think we have to be perfect. Yeah.
Right.
And we have to be okay because we're adults, and we don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, sometimes you say, well, it's just Thursday.
Oh,
right?
it's Tuesday.
It's just Tuesday.
It's just Tuesday. And like you said, it can hit you out of nowhere of like, well, why today is the grief heavier? Why in this wonderful moment is it heavier? And just it is sometimes.
Mm-hmm. It just
And we
happens,
just get through
right?
It just happens.
Yeah, but it's okay to tell someone I'm okay or I'm not
Or
okay.
not okay. Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
And we should
Everything
be
is
fine
okay.
with
Whatever
that.
you're experiencing is okay.
Yeah.
One of the things, so in college, like, was it difficult to have that experience without your mom, and how are you doing? And then also, I get so many questions in this question, right? Another thing that you and I talked about was we did this show a few months ago on fear of failure. And we were almost going to bring you on that because you said that there was a connection between this fear of failure and the loss of your mom.
Yeah.
Can you explain that a little bit?
So in college, definitely, like, going back to, like, my friends being, like, playing a big part in that, even at my old school, like, just being there for me in, like, times like that, like, again, like, going on walks with me in October, like, we're wearing pink, or, like, we're doing this, or, like, they're doing things and without even telling me, and, like, that's making me feel even better because I'm like you thought about me, like, like, that's thoughtful. Yeah. Like, I related to fear and failure, I feel like, because, like, there's moments where I fear failing. My mom, again, is, like, my biggest, like, reason why, and, like, my niece, just being an example for my niece.
Does that extend over into, clearly it doesn't hamper you because you're the MAC champion, but
Right, the
does
MAC champ is here.
Does that fuel you, or does that hold you back any, or does it not have any impact
I
at
feel
all?
like it definitely adds fuel to my fire. Like, definitely, like, a reason why, again, like, track being a outlet for me is why like I take it so serious and like in like perfecting my craft. I want to be at the top of the record books.
Sounds like you are right now, so that's good.
I'm number 4 right now indoors, so we're trying to get a little higher, but
That's good though. I would love number 4, but that's just me. I'm not athletic. So, you know, you gave me number 4. I'm like, okay. So, since we're on the topic of fear and failure, we had a show about it a couple months ago, right? And Aesha, you gave some really good tips. And thinking about Kyra's story and what kind of tips can you share with our viewers and listeners today?
Sometimes folks, I don't know if you've experienced this, of like, I can't let down my mom. And it pushes sometimes in a positive way. Other times it's like, well, what would they think of me if I didn't do this? So it's just like, I have to be up here all the time.
it's more of like a sense or like a use of like motivation instead of like, you know, like, oh, well, like if I don't do this, then I'm not gonna be this in like her eyes or like anything like that, but more so of like, I want to do this because like I want to make her proud, and like I know that she will be proud of me doing this or like accomplishing this and like things I want to accomplish in life. So yeah, definitely like,
It's sort of like in honor of.
yeah, like a use of motivation. Like,
That's good. And even after you lost your mom, which is obviously tragic, tragedy struck again when you had a friend die by suicide a few years later.
Yes.
Is that right? Can you tell us a little bit about that and how that's affected you as well?
I'm still kind of like fresh on that, so like I haven't really like dug into that too much because like it's still kind of, it's close to home. And then like our generation just being so like so mean, like, and just like social media and like everything is just so like, now like a lot of people don't think for themselves, like they just kind of like bandwagon off of like things on the internet, or like no one should have to even get to that point to feel like, you know, like, and definitely check on your strong friends.
That is
I
so
like that.
friends,
Strong
the
friends.
friends that like you're like, oh my God, like she's so strong, or like he's so strong, like I would never be able to, or like I salute you for, or you're so da 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 da. Definitely check on those people.
Was that a strong friend who died by suicide?
Yeah, so for me kind of, but like I'm also like one of those strong friends for like a lot of my friends. I'm the strong friend, so it's like, yeah. But
And they never know when you're hurting.
yeah, until like I'm just kind of wearing like my emotions on my sleeve, and like that also is like something I'm learning and like working with, like again, like as I'm getting older, kind of like I said, like at the beginning, and like realizing like more accepting things than like holding them in the back, and like just
Being more vulnerable.
Yeah,
and
being
just
definitely
being
being more vulnerable. Like I would have never,
That's hard.
I would have never
That's-
did this.
yeah.
Like talk this deep, like about
Right.
like some of the stuff I said on here, like my friends don't even know. So
No, that's okay. But you're
Yeah.
helping them. You're
Yeah.
helping
Absolutely.
people
Yeah,
by sharing your
so-
I
story.
think you
So
brought
that's
up
good.
a good point of, even though you've experienced a tragic loss, another one, every death hits us differently. And not assuming with our strong friends, like, oh, they've been through this, oh, or they're in therapy. There's always a different story. And just sometimes like, well, why didn't I see the signs? Why didn't I do this? And knowing that whatever's happening is okay. However you're processing is okay, and it's not linear, is like my strongest tip of, there's just memories intertwined in every single little thing that we don't even recognize. Sometimes we think it's the big holidays, the birthdays, and sometimes it's the, oh, I'm craving this ice cream. Oh crap, that's the ice cream that someone loved. Or it's just like the tiny
Yes.
things that hit us and we weren't prepared for. And just knowing you can't be prepared for these things, even though you may know it's coming.
Wow. So I'm glad we're on this topic, because Lolita and I, we've talked a lot about the topic of suicide. We're hearing from students, especially losing friends, high school friends, college friends from suicide. So it's real. It's something that our students are dealing with. And thinking about that, what kind of advice would you give to students like Kyra, who has suffered from a loss like that?
I think talking about it, because I think a lot of us have the fear of saying, are you suicidal to someone? Like that's going to put the thought in their head. And rather being very direct, are you having thoughts of harming yourself or others?
So having the conversation.
Having the conversation and being very specific, because sometimes people may say passive thoughts of, oh, if I didn't wake up, or if the car were to veer off. And there's other times people are stating, I have a plan, I have methods available to me. Asking folks directly, do you have access to medications, guns, knives, etc., that could be in harm's way? And rather than having, back in the day, therapists were encouraged to have their clients like a pact of they wouldn't attempt to hurt themselves or others, versus what is the safety plan? We need to have medications locked up. We need to have guns, knives removed, and what is, okay, therapy is enough help for someone at the point, what is being partially hospitalization. So this is intensive programs that are like 9 to 3 p.m. So IHA right around the corner from us has a great program. And so folks may be in there for 4 weeks. They get to come home and that could be enough to de-escalate the thoughts. And sometimes medications are a great way to slow down our thinking. So our ruminating thoughts of just allowing us to be present and get the support we need. And with folks who experience a loss of suicide, it can impact them as well. And feeling isolated and I could have done this, I could have done that. And so them getting help themselves. Years ago, I lost one of my high school teachers to suicide. And this person was a pillar of the community, received a teaching award from the state of Michigan. And it was shocking to everyone because this was the strong person. It was just unbelievable and kind of like, how could we not have known, and feeling like you could have done something. And honoring that person's legacy. You know, they did a lot of service work abroad, did this giant Spanish fair that was like this World Cultural Day, and just continuing to talk about this person. And that was, I think, almost like 10 years ago, and still has an impact. And so for me, honoring that person, of showing up in the classroom, of caring about students, talking about them now, and it's not a failure on someone if they are to die by suicide. And sometimes we don't want to like talk about that. It's just people kind of hint at it or say they lost their battle with depression. And that could be a way to talk about it, but also getting the nitty gritty, like here are what we do if someone's having suicidal thoughts.
I like the part about honoring them. And that's the part I think you do really well with your mom, you know, just on your tattoo, on your shoes. I think you do a great job with the walks. We're going to wrap up soon, but there are a couple more questions we have to ask, right? One of them that I want to ask you is a couple of things. What do you do to take care of your mental health? What do you do for fun, or just, you know, when just on a regular basis?
I love to shop. And sometimes my friends are like, Kyra, like, we're not going to Target today. Like, we're not doing this today.
Because you're not only going for one thing.
I'm not. I'm supposed to go in there for some trash bags, and I'm getting a whole outfit, and like now my dog's got a new toy, but definitely just like taking breaks. Like I'm from Georgia, so like I'm a country girl, like being outside. Like I like it's this little park over here where like I just like to go and like sit by the water, and like sometimes I'll take my dog out there and like we're just listening to music or like eating ice cream. I love music. Music is definitely like one of the things that keep me sane. Like
that's
I definitely
good. It sounds like
music.
You take pretty good care of yourself. That's great. What kind of dog do you have?
He's a Yorkie Shih Tzu Maltese. He's a little fur ball.
How many pounds does he weigh?
He's like 16, 17 now.
Oh, okay.
His fur's growing out now because it's about to get a little chilly, so I haven't got him a haircut.
What's
and a
his
little
name?
Coda.
Nice.
Kyra and Coda.
Yeah.
The name I get it. You said you're a Georgia girl. When I first met you, you referred to me by ma'am. I'm like, where in the South is this girl from? Yes, ma'am. Yes, she said. And I was like, she's from the South somewhere.
Yes,
yeah.
Well, as we're wrapping up, Lolita gave me that sign. This question is for the two of you, as it relates to this topic. What advice would you give to your fellow classmates, students? What advice would you give to them in coping with loss?
Especially around the holidays.
Yeah,
'cause it's
especially
coming
around the holidays.
Definitely give yourself grace, and don't be afraid to like reach out or ask for help. Like sometimes that gets the best of me, like, and my friends are always like, Kyra, like, well, you can ask for this, or like, you can ask for this. And I'm always like, yeah, I know, but everyone else has like their own life and everything. Don't think like that, like, just, if you need it, definitely ask for it. Take moments like to yourself to get back to like a good space in your head, like whether that's like whatever you like to do, like a hobby, like if you want to hang out with friends, or like something that makes you feel good, like try to stay like in tune with things that like help you and like make you feel better.
I like
Definitely.
that. And that'll help protect your mental health.
Yeah. Any other suggestions, Aisha?
Giving yourself grace. I mean, I wasn't really close to this person, so why am I feeling really heavy grief compared to my friend who was really close to this person? Sometimes we have the need to give ourselves grace of, well, we need to make this holiday perfect because we can't rest and just honor that this is difficult, or we need to keep moving because we can't get stuck. And grief comes in different ways. So, if that's making the person's favorite dessert that no one else eats, you should do that. If that's setting a chair out, you should do that. If you don't feel ready to remove a chair, don't do that. There are no ways to do it. And, even that letting someone know, like, hey, I don't know how I'm feeling about this holiday, but just, stand by on deck is great. And then for folks who have people experiencing grief, being like, hey, can I check in with you? Do you not want me to check in? Because I don't want the whole, like, a friend's mad at me because I didn't check in, but I don't want to be the person like, hey, are you okay? And doing like the silent, like, the quiet voice every time we talk. And I think just the season of grace.
Yeah.
I want to add one more thing too. Kind of going back to like what she was saying when she said like some people are like, there's a timeline on grief, or like how long is it supposed to be? Grief is different for everyone, and like everyone's timeline is different. If that takes you 5 weeks to 5 years to 5 months, like, like don't let anyone dictate how long you feel like you need to take, or how long you feel like you're still kind of grieving with it, or like you're not okay with it yet. Like you don't have to be okay with something because like everyone else around you is or expects you to be, like, again, everyone's grieving process is kind of different. So
That's good and
That's
really
real
meaningful from you.
good.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That means a lot.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. I know these are personal stories with losing your mom and losing your friend, and we're obviously so sorry about that. But, as the holiday season comes upon us, so many people need this, not just this season, but every season. And we really appreciate you taking the time to come on over and talk to us. So thank you, Aisha. Thank you so much, Kyra.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to the holidays, but I know so many people are not. So I'm really glad that we've done this show, and maybe it'll help them a little bit.
I think so. And all the tips that Aisha had shared.
She's always so good with the tips.
She
I'm so
is.
glad we have her here. And hopefully it will be a merry and joyous season for everyone.
Absolutely. Yeah, great show. So that's all we have for today. As always, it is our hope that the show truly has enlightened you, and that it makes your life and your mental health better.
So I've started to like ending this show on a quote. And I saw one the other day, and I want to share it with you now. It said, grief never ends, but it changes. It's a passage, not a place to stay. Grief is not a sign of weakness nor a lack of faith. It is the price of love. If you have lost someone, human or otherwise, please keep them in your hearts and remember to love. We wish you joy, peace, and blessings this holiday season, and we'll see you again next month.